2010 settlements moratorium, or with the current pressure on Israel to remove the illegal outpost of Amona, supposed concessions on settlements consistently prove counterproductive. The numbers, and these are official Israeli numbers, tell the story. 23 years ago, in 1993, Israel and the PLO signed the Declaration of Principles, also known as the Oslo Accords. Back then, the settler population in the West Bank, excluding East Jerusalem, was 116,000 people. At the end of 2015, that number was nearly 390,000. Looking just at East Jerusalem, in 1993, the Jewish Israeli population was approximately 146,000 people. Today, it is over 210,000. This population explosion could not have occurred without Israeli government support and encouragement, including, most obviously, the approval and construction of new housing. And that is exactly what happened. During this same period, 1993 to today, over 50,000 settlement units were built in the West Bank, plus thousands more in East Jerusalem. What about settlement construction just under Prime Minister Netanyahu? 2016 figures aren't complete yet, but looking at 2009 through 2015, which included the so-called moratorium, more than 11,000 settlement units were established in the West Bank with the full approval of Israeli authorities. And in 2015 alone, we're talking about 2,000, almost 2,000 new units in the West Bank. But this is only part of the story of how settlements have kept on expanding. The rest of the story is this. There is an entire machine of Israeli policies, active and passive, that is constantly working to support the expansion and entrenchment of settlements. Let me give you some examples. We all have heard the government of Israel claim, when a settlement plan hits the headlines, that whatever is being reported shouldn't be controversial, either because it's just a minor step or because the real approval happened long ago and the latest step is just a bureaucratic formality. We've even heard the government of Israel claim it should be getting credit for exercising restraint, for holding off against settler demands to approve even more plans. But hidden behind these claims is the fact that there is always a huge bank of approved plans already in the pipeline, meaning that even when new approvals stop, construction continues. Peace Now estimates that the settlement pipeline today holds around 30,000 units ready for construction at any time. Also hidden behind these claims is the fact that according to Israeli policy, construction in the vast majority of settlements, 112 out of 126 settlements, in those settlements, construction can go ahead on an estimated 20,000 of these units in the pipeline without any further action by the government of Israel and based only on the internal decisions of settler authorities. Hidden, too, is the fact that illegal settlement construction undertaken without necessary official Israeli government approvals, has become an integral part of the Israeli settlement enterprise. In fact, over the past 6 years, Peace Now estimates that illegal construction accounted for 15% of total settlement growth. This illegal activity is not just tolerated by the government of Israel, it is actively encouraged through failure to enforce the rule of law, through the granting of retroactive approvals, through provision of funding, and through political endorsement. We've all also heard Israeli government spokespeople claim that Israel is not establishing new settlements, or it's only expanding settlements inside the current areas. But hidden behind that claim is the fact that just between 2009 and 2015, under Prime Minister Netanyahu, the government of Israel authorized, or worked to authorize, at least 26 settlement sites established by settlers in contravention of Israeli law. These are often referred to as illegal outposts. These sites are being transformed effectively into new settlements or into new, often remote neighborhoods of existing settlements. The government of Israel has implemented a range of related policies that further expand and deepen the settlement enterprise. Policies like investing financially and politically in industrial zones, touristic facilities, and archaeological sites in the West Bank and in East Jerusalem. Policies like building a vast network of roads, tunnels, and highways that operate as the arteries of the West Bank settlements, tying them to each other and linking them directly and seamlessly into Israel. And finally, there is an additional key policy, one that is probably invisible to most people, that has further enabled the entrenchment of Israel's settlement enterprise and that underscores the fundamental rights violations it involves. This is the policy according to which Israeli law follows Israeli citizens who enter or live in the West Bank, the occupied territories overall. This policy creates a dangerous and ugly political reality in which two populations live on the same land under different legal systems, separate and entirely unequal, with a governing authority serving one population at the expense of the other. One population is comprised of privileged Israeli citizens enjoying the benefits of a prosperous and powerful state and with their rights guaranteed by a democratic government accountable to their votes. The other population is comprised of disenfranchised Palestinians living under foreign military rule, explicitly designed to protect and promote the interests not of the Palestinians living on the land, but of Israeli settlers. Defenders of Israel's settlement policies offer various arguments to justify settlements and their expansion, notwithstanding the fact that, according to international law, all settlements are illegal and a violation of Palestinian rights. I want to focus here on two of their main arguments. The first is the argument that the controversy over settlements is overblown, since the built-up area of settlements comprises only around 1% of the West Bank, not including East Jerusalem. This argument is at best ignorant and at worst deliberately disingenuous. Because since 1967, Israel has taken control of around 50% of the West Bank, and almost all of that land has been given to the settlers or used for their benefit. Israel has given almost 10% of the West Bank to settlers by including it in the municipal area of settlements. It has given almost 34% of the West Bank to settlers by placing it under the jurisdiction of settlement regional councils. And in addition, Israel has taken hundreds of kilometers of the West Bank to build infrastructure to serve the settlements, including the network of roads I spoke of earlier. Roads that crisscross the entire West Bank, dividing Palestinian cities and towns from each other and imposing various barriers to access and movement for Palestinians, all for the benefit of settlements. Israel has used various means to do this, including by declaring much of the West Bank to be state land, taking over additional land for security purposes, and making it nearly impossible for Palestinians to register claims of ownership to their own land. The same pattern holds in East Jerusalem, where since 1967, Israel has expropriated around 35% of the land and used it almost entirely for settlements. But the reach of settlements goes even further, because according to Peace Now's analysis of official Israeli government data, almost 1/3 of the land included in the municipal areas of settlements is actually privately owned by Palestinians. The bottom line here is this. While the built-up area of settlements is small, the settlers' control on the ground is huge, and the impact of settlements on the Palestinian population is far-reaching. The second argument used by defenders of settlements is that most construction today is taking place inside the so-called settlement blocks. These are the loosely defined, ever-expanding areas that the same defenders of settlements say, everybody knows Israel will keep them anyway under a peace agreement, and therefore they insist construction in these areas shouldn't be considered controversial. This argument has been gaining currency of late, including with pressure on the United States government to change its policy and stop opposing construction in the blocks. This defense of settlements is at best confused and at worst intentionally misleading. Because if there are ever again serious negotiations over settlements in territory, the hardest issue to resolve is not going to be the fate of small and isolated settlements. Settlements nobody believes can stay in place under a peace agreement. No, the hardest issue is going to be the fate of settlement blocks, which ones and how many Israel will want to keep, how much territory they take up, how they can be connected to Israel without destroying the contiguity and viability of a Palestinian state with East Jerusalem as its capital, and how and where Israel will find adequate land to use for land swaps to offset these blocks. And notably, these blocks don't include just settlements. If you take a radius from the center of a block like Gush Etzion or Givat Ze'ev or Ariel, a large percentage of the population, in many cases a majority, is Palestinian. All of this is why continued expansion of these blocks is equally, if not more, harmful to the two-state solution than construction in isolated settlements. The bottom line here is this. Given the facts on the ground today, reaching agreement on these blocks will be difficult. Further expansion of the settlements in these blocks, further growth of the blocks themselves, and the creation of new blocks, all things that are happening today, threaten to make a peace agreement impossible. All of this is just a small sampling of the Israeli government's settlement policies, policies that for the most part don't make headlines and that often fly under the radar of the international community. They are implemented continuously, creating facts on the ground that violate Palestinian rights, incrementally and exponentially making a political solution more difficult to reach, and endangering the viability of the two-state solution. Those of us who follow the settlement enterprise and its trajectory over time are in an unparalleled position to judge both the intentions and the outcome of Israeli settlement policies. Looking at the scope, pace, and location of settlement expansion, recognizing the vast political, economic, and security resources invested in this enterprise leads to an inescapable conclusion. These policies reflect a deliberate strategy designed to prevent the emergence of a viable contiguous Palestinian state. This is the grim reality today. Speaking as someone who cares deeply about Israel, I say to you today, I do not give up hope, nor do I forget that the two-state solution is not a goal in itself. Rather, it is a political compromise to end the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. It is a solution that has consistently been embraced by majorities of both Israelis and Palestinians, and historically by their political leaderships. And it is the only solution that offers Israelis and Palestinians alike the hope for a normal life, a better life for their children and their children's children. But with every day that passes, Israeli settlement policies further cement a one-state reality on the ground, making the two-state solution harder to imagine, let alone achieve. Whether a peace agreement is possible at this time or any time soon can be debated endlessly. What cannot be debated is the fact that Israel is a vibrant democracy that has achieved great things in its short existence and that has the potential for a great future. And what cannot be debated likewise is the fact that settlement policies of the Israeli government are undermining that democracy, distorting the noble Jewish values articulated in its Declaration of Independence, harming Israel's relations with the world, violating the rights of the Palestinians, and killing the chances of ever achieving an Israeli-Palestinian peace in the future. That is why I come before you today, someone who proudly and unapologetically cares about Israel and defends its existence, someone who, along with my organization, Americans for Peace Now, and our American and Israeli friends and supporters, cares about Israel too much to stop challenging its self-defeating settlement policies. And that is why, on behalf of Americans for Peace Now, I urge you here today to finally take action in the Security Council to send a clear message to Israel and the world that the international community stands by the two-state solution and unambiguously rejects the policies that undermine it, including Israeli settlement policies. Thank you.